have half brownie before, and it was supposed to feed 4 people. The brownie, and we had no idea. No, it's just a brownie. We had before like 1 month ago, and it was just good. We just got good, relax. And we had the same for a Saturday session of skating and with Jim Gray.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, all my friends were like,
Right.
wow. They never felt so crazy.
Right.
And they had to split. They were, and I was too, but I had to.
You had to keep it together.
Yeah, and I was feeling like, and Jim, where's everybody? They ate brownies, man. Sorry. It was like, oh, that was fun, man. It was very fun.
Yeah, Jim still rips.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's all good. I'll have to keep my eye on the screens and everything. Hope you don't mind, okay? But you don't have to look at the lenses. Just like me, it's all good. Can you just say something to see the audio?
Hello, 1, 2, California fun.
Montana for fun.
Montana grind. Do you like the name Montana grind?
Yeah.
Not much.
That's this part of the episode, Montana grind.
Well, actually, I'm thinking about doing some this. I don't want to make this made part of California fun.
Yeah.
I want to use. We talk about California and everything, the story of skateboarding that is there, and that will be used in California fun. But I think that we could do a side project about Montana because it's different. And if we just do an episode, it's not much.
Yeah.
No, we could do a short movie or a documentary or anything.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be great if you feel like to help out, like any way you want to, like art directing, you know.
Well, I could even, like if you do come back, I could hook you up with there's 5 or 6 big players in the state, like
Guys that, actually a guy that'll be here tomorrow, Pete, who got the Helena Park built, and the people in the different communities that got their parks built, and there's a guy up in the Northwest, Colby, who's like, he's sort of the Mike Vallely of Montana.
Oh, that makes you already an executive producer.
There you go. There you go.
And it would be great, man. Yeah, it should, because I could easily made it a movie or a documentary or something like 1 hour and a half. Or, and made it go on Brazilian television as well.
Yeah.
But and get money for that.
Yeah.
But I think that it could be something to go, even that doesn't make money, to go to internet or to go as a documentary.
Yeah.
We could think of something like that because, there's a lot of real cool story. It's not native story. How could I say, like, from within, from original thing from here.
Yeah.
And I got to be aware from you mainly because of seeing things and paying attention. I wasn't aware about the scene.
Yeah.
And as I love Pearl Jam, I've seen a lot of stuff Pearl Jam and music related, and I know you skateboard, and Montana is cool. And when I was in California Fun, and people started talking about Montana, I was like, oh, and then I started paying more attention. Now I'm in love with that. I'm thinking more Montana from even on this trip than in California.
Right. Right.
Over California.
You've been in California a lot.
Yeah. And this is there. The people want to appear, want to help out, but something back. I don't know. Sometimes it looks like everything is a two-way. The actions have other. Let's say, well, it's all good. Anyway, but here is different, and I think we could do a great different thing here as well.
Yeah.
And it would be great to have your help, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. We're about to start.
Hello. Got something? Yep.
No, it's fine. Right? We're good. First of all,
hello.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for coming, Dan.
Thank you for having me. My questions are not going to appear, okay?
Okay.
So I don't exist.
On
So
the fly.
if
Okay.
you could
It's falling out of the.
you could reintroduce what I asked you in the middle
Yeah.
of your answer.
Okay.
You're used to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, man. First of all, I'd like you to tell me your name and where are you at right now.
My name is Jeff Ament. We're in western Montana. Secret spot.
What's the name of this place and where it is?
Right now we're sitting at the Treasure Bowl, which was the kind of the original deep concrete bowl in the state. It was built by Dreamland and Grindline in 2002. Before they split apart, they were building Orcas Island, and they came out in the middle of that and set this up. And they poured Orcas Island, and they came out, poured this afterwards, and then Dreamland went this way, Grindline went that way. And 160 parks later, like they're still kicking ass and building lots of parks. So
where are they located? I don't know.
Grindline is based in Seattle, Washington, and that was started by Mark Hubbard Monk, and Dreamland is based in Portland, or actually technically it's probably more based in Lincoln City, Oregon. And that's headed by Mark Red Scott, who kind of infamously built the concrete under the Burnside Bridge.
Cool. It's infamously because it's known as a DIY skate park.
I mean, you know, most people would argue, especially people outside of California, would argue that that was the beginning of the kind of second generation of concrete parks, and it was very different than the first wave, because the first wave was all pay skate parks. Like you had to pay, you know, $5 a session or whatever it was, and the Burnside Park was an old destitute part of Portland at the time, where a lot of homeless people hung out, and they just decided to build a quarter pipe, and that they kept adding to it. Nobody stopped them, and eventually they sort of got the okay from the city to build more, and that was mid '90s, so there wasn't a lot of concrete to skate at that point in this country. So
cool. And since when was this built? And then if you could introduce that other.
Right. Well, the Treasure Bowl was built in 2002, and after about 8 or 9 years of shoveling the snow out of this thing every winter, I got tired of it, and we decided to build the indoor bowl, which was named by Sage Boyland of Dreamland Skate Parks the bass bowl, because it's the instrument that I play, and he was really trying to make it shape like a bass, but it wouldn't have really been that skatable if it would have been shaped like a bass. So it's kind of a hybrid peanut.
And about your skateboard collection, what could you say about that skate collection there?
Oh, it's, you know, it started in the, well, I could say it started in the 70s, but it really started again in the late 90s. My friend Chris Maneris was a swap meet guy in California for a lot of years, and so he had a giant collection of surfboards and skateboards, and he and I, after a skateboard trip to Oregon, we stopped at his house, and we were inside his house listening to some records, having a beer, and he's like, "Have you ever seen my skateboards?" And I was like, no, what skateboards? And we went underneath the stairwell, and he had like 500 skateboards stacked up under the stairwell, like, and it was like all of a sudden I was like 14 years old again in the skate park, and like, or in the skate shop in like 1978, and a lot of the boards were new still, but they were old boards from the 70s and early 80s, and I mean, I literally was shaking. I was picking these boards up, looking at them like, oh my God, like, you know, I've never even seen these boards before, because, you know, we were in Montana, and the skateboard stock was much smaller than a skate shop in California. And he said, well, if you see any doubles, you can grab them. I'll sell them to you for $50 each. So I think I grabbed about 10 boards and gave him $500, and that was sort of the start of it. You know, it started off being wanted to replace the boards that I skated when I was a kid, and then it just, you know, snowballed in a crazy way. Now I have 120 completes in there from the 70s. So
Cool, man. And how did you get into skateboarding, man?
we had probably starting in like 1974. My family started taking trips to California every other summer. My dad had two sisters that lived in California, and so we'd go to the Bay Area. And the first time that we went, I believe, first time that we went to the Kepper's house was 1975 or 1976. And my cousin Gary was about 2 years older than me, and I always thought he was kind of the hip, like city cousin. He from a young age he had like snakes, like big boa constrictors and stuff in his room. But this particular time that we went there, he had a skateboard, and it had Road Rider 4s and California slaloms, and the deck was actually a board that he made himself out of oak. And to pass time in the middle of the afternoon, we'd go out into the road and we'd, cruise around. And I'd never skated on a board with urethane wheels. I'd only skated on a clay wheeled board that my uncle had. And that was just kind of part of the, time that we spent when we were there. And when I left, he gave me a skateboarder magazine, and it was 1,200 miles back to Montana where I grew up. So the whole way back, the only thing I had to read was this skateboarder magazine. And by the time I got home, I was 100% in. I was like a skateboarder, like just from having this magazine for 2 days and going, front to back, like, 24 times or whatever it was. I already knew what board I was going to order and what parts I was going to order, and the t-shirt, and, how hard I was going to work at this job to make the money to do it. And by the end of that summer, my dad helped me build a ramp. And in the magazine, there was a couple pictures of just these slant ramps. It was before they actually had transition on ramps, and it was kind of the first activity that my dad really dug, and it was because he got to teach me how to build things. He taught me how to cut out a skateboard on the bandsaw, taught me how to cut the kicktail and glue the kicktail to the skateboard, taught me how to build the ramps. When they came out with the big U-pipe skate ramps, the Rampage ramps, you could order plans. My dad goes, "Why would you order plans?" He goes, "By looking at that, I know what we have to do." And so he got a string, and we cut. We drew a big transition on the piece of plywood, and we cut these radiuses out. We made a quarter pipe that next summer. By the end of the summer, there was 2 quarter pipes that were connected. It was a U-pipe, and as I watched in the magazines, as skate ramps evolved, like, I changed my ramp accordingly. Like, they started putting a little bit of flat bottom in the ramps. The transitions kind of went from 10-foot transitions to 8-foot transitions in about 1979. So I tore the ramp all down, made smaller transitions. 1980, we put a deck on it because there was no decks on it before that. Coping was like a piece of broomstick or an old lead pipe that was laying around, or anything that would kind of make a little sound. We draw tiles up, on the edge of it, put stickers, dress up like your favorite Z-Boy, whatever it was, like wear a stupid hat. It was all from the magazines. And those little trips, we ended up going back to California a couple years after that in 1978, and I got to skate Winchester Skate Park and Campbell Skate Park because they were literally like 2-3 miles from my cousin's house. And so that was kind of the only like 1970s skate park experience that I got, was that week that we were in San Jose, 1978.
So you could say you are in DIY skate park skateboarder since day one.
Right, kind of. I mean, we were just copying what was in the magazines. It was, even to get equipment, like we had to send, you had to send a check into Val Surf or Kanoa Surf, and it would take 4 to 5 weeks to get your stuff. It took forever. And so we were probably a good 4 to 6 months behind the magazines. Like by the time we were trying inverts, like they were already doing Miller flips and, you know.
We talked to Kent Senator. He used to
Awesome.
skate from Valsurf, right?
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, with Jerry Valdez and his brother Scott and Mark Smith. They were kind of the Valley Dogtown guys. Like they kind of had that vibe going on.
that what you say, it's perfect to introduce them, but you didn't mention Kent because I did.
Oh.
Could you just say it again?
Yeah, Kent Senator was kind of part of the Valley crew. With Jerry Valdez and his brother Scott Senator and Mark Smith. Like those guys all kind of look like, I guess they would have been the V-boys maybe, But they were rippers, man. They look super gnarly. Like they were, like Jerry Valdez, I remember, just even through the magazines, looked like a guy that you might be afraid of. And they were pioneers too. Kent Senator was, I think there's that great centerfold of him doing like a backside layback. I could see the board. He had tracker magnesiums and Bones Cubics on that board.
Cool, man. You have a good memory, man. Nice.
Yeah, that's my Bible.
And what is the California lifestyle for you, and how did you got that into you?
Well, I think, I mean, I was lucky enough. I grew up in north central Montana, and I was fortunate enough that my dad had 2 sisters in kind of south of San Francisco, and we got to, take probably 3 trips to California when I was a kid. We went to Disneyland one year. So I sort of got a couple different times I got a solid week of like the California lifestyle in the 70s, which was sort of, I don't know if many of my friends really knew. It was a different time. It was before the internet, and it was before Instagram and all that. So to kind of go there and be in the middle of that and skateboard and go fishing for sharks off the bay, and to go down to the beach and see people surfing, and to see like these beautiful girls in bikinis, and I wasn't seeing any of that back in Montana. So I remember a friend of mine told me in 1978 when I came back from California, he said that I talked differently. And I think because where I grew up in Montana, people talk more methodically. It's a slower drawl that we have up there. And my cousins talked really fast, and there was like sort of that California. And I think I probably brought back dude and rad and a few words that nobody'd ever heard. And so those few weeks that I spent in California as a kid like had a profound influence on who I became. And it also, as I got older, it made me realize that there was other things out there, and that probably was a lot of the drive for me to like get out of the town that I grew up in and to experience not only California but the rest of the world. And it was those first trips to California that did that.
Cool, man. And what's the Montana lifestyle?
Well, where I grew up, the Montana lifestyle was wheat farms and cattle ranching, mostly.
Wheat farms?
Yeah, like wheat that they make flour for bread.
Ah, wheat.
Wheat, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not weed flour that they use in brownies.
Shit.
But yeah, it's really rural, and I was lucky enough to live like just a few miles from the Missouri River and a few miles from a little mountain range called the Bear Paws. And so we had a little ski hill, and we had kind of big winters, big snowy winters. Having the river and a few lakes around kind of gave us some water activities. I learned how to water ski when I was a kid. But it's really super isolated. We grew up 10 miles from the Chippewa Cree Indian Reservation, so that was sort of our diversity in that area. There's no Hispanic people, there's no African Americans. It's pretty much the white Germans and Scandinavian people, and then the natives that lived about 10 miles away. So very quiet, and people always ask me if I got bored growing up there, and was like, I didn't even know what board was when I was a kid, because you were always just creating things to do and creating games, and we were always playing with a baseball or a basketball or kickball, or and getting into as much trouble as we could, but you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so there's not really a whole ton of trouble that you can get into out there. So
When did you get into music? How did you get into music?
well, growing up, my mom played piano, and so there was always music in the house, and my mom played music a lot. And one of my earliest memories is my mom playing Ike and Tina Turner Proud Mary on the turntable, and my mom and I dancing together. Like, that's kind of one of my earliest. I must have been 4 or 5 years old or something like that. And so by the time I was in first grade, my mom wanted me to take piano lessons, and because I saw her playing piano as a kid, I really, really wanted to do it until about 4th grade, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. And at that point, I kind of wanted to play guitar or something. And a friend and I think by the time we were in 5th or 6th grade, we took guitar lessons. But the guitar teacher was just teaching us, like, Mary Had a Little Lamb and scales, and it didn't sound like Ted Nugent or Aerosmith or Kiss. So that only lasted a few months. Like, if somebody just would have showed me a bar chord and given me a distortion box at that point, probably would have changed. It might have screwed me all up. Who knows? It might have. It took me until I was, in college here to actually pick up the bass, and by that time punk rock had taken a hold of me pretty hard, and that actually was sort of a perfect marriage, because bands like the Ramones and the Clash, like, told even me that I could do what they were doing. Like, there wasn't a big separation between the band and the crowd or the fans. It was all one thing. And by the time I saw a few punk rock shows, like, I knew that's what I was going to be doing, at least for a few years. Like, I knew that I had such love for it, and also the part of it that I actually learned this from skateboarders a little bit too, because there was guys like Neil Blender and Lance Mountain who were like, they had little bands going on. They were like, drawing their own graphics, and Neil Blender was painting, and there was like, and I was interested in all that stuff. So, to sort of have, skaters and punk rock guys telling you that you didn't have to outsource any part of putting a record out, or getting a band together to play, or getting your crew together to skateboard. It could all be in-house. You could just do it yourself, and that was a pretty cool thing to witness. Like, I was a huge Neil Blender fan because of that, because he was sort of like, he kind of didn't care, and he just did what he wanted to do, and he had his own style, and he was goofy, and Lance sort of kind of fits in with that too. And that was sort of where I transitioned a little bit out of skateboarding. Sort of died again in the mid to late 80s, and at that point I was fully in to playing music, and it was all about playing music, and my skateboard was just to get me from place to place, because there's no ramps anymore in Seattle or anything. But yeah.
Why did you move to Seattle?
Well, I went to college for 2 years. After high school in Big Sandy, I went to college for 2 years here in Missoula, and after visiting some of the other colleges around the state, I sort of realized that Missoula was kind of the only place I was going to be able to live in, because it was the only place where I felt any sort of like art community, and there's a real liberal, there were lots of hippies and bikers and stuff at that time here, and I just felt like I could come here and figure out who I was, and nobody would get too upset, even though people did get upset at that time. But after I was here for 2 years, they decided they were going to phase out their graphic arts program. And I had a friend that moved from here to Seattle, and in the middle of my second year, we went to Seattle and saw the Clash open up for the Who. and X played the night before that, and that pretty much cemented the deal. And while we were there, they said, "Oh yeah, this punk rock club is going to open up in 2 months," and I was like I'm going to finish my school as soon as I can, and so I moved in April of 1983 to Seattle, and slept on my friend's floor for a couple weeks till I got a job, and then I was just in, you know. And luckily, I got a job at this restaurant, this really cool coffee shop restaurant called the Raison d'Etre. That was the owners were both gay, and everybody who worked there was either a musician, an artist, an actor, and so I got turned on to all kinds of music, and you know, stuff that was kind of outside of like the punk rock thing that I was into. But you know, I went to a reggae show. I went to King Sunny Ade. I went and saw Ornette Coleman. I went and saw King Crimson that first year, and this was all people that I worked with said, "Hey, I got an extra ticket. Let's go." You know, there was a place called the Moore Theater that was right across the street, and so I was seeing all the punk rock shows. I was seeing Bad Brains, and I was seeing Really Red, and I was seeing the Butthole Surfers, and I was seeing Replacements and Black Flag and Dead Kennedys and the DOA, and I mean, there was so much good punk rock happening at that time. But then also I had this other thing where, you know, these guys were taking me to go see like prog music, Alan Holdsworth or some weird jazz fusion guitarist, or so.
This is mid-80s.
Yeah, this was like 1983, 84, 85, 86. Yeah.
And then then the rest of the story, right? The grunge, not the grunge is it's a label. Yeah. But the scene there, Mudhoney and Green River was like 87.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I met all those guys. I met Stone. I met Mark Arm. I met Steve Turner. I met Charles Peterson, the photographer. I met Bruce Fairweather, who I was in a punk rock band out here with. He moved out shortly after that. But John Bigley and the guys that were in the U-Men, the 10-Minute Warning guys, Paul Soldier, Duff McKagan, who was in Guns N' Roses. I remember one of my highlights the first year that I was in Seattle. My little band Deranged Dixon was opening up for DOA, and we opened the show with a Kiss song called Parasite. And Duff ran up to the front of the crowd, and we all thought Duff was like God, you know, because he was like kind of the cool-looking guy, and he played guitar and he played drums in the Fastbacks, and he played guitar in 10-Minute Warning, and he played bass in another band, and he kind of had his hands and everything. But he ran up to the front of the stage, and he was like holding his belt buckle up, and it was a Kiss belt buckle. And I remember at that time I thought, wow, like we made it. Like Duff McKagan like acknowledged, you know, like the staple of the scene, like acknowledged us. So, but I was just in at that point, like especially after meeting Mark and a few other guys that and Stone, like those guys were all super motivated in their own ways. They were writing songs, and they were like into going out and putting up posters around town, and they were into saving their money to put out records, and so. Yeah, it's all sort of a blur because those, you know, in those days it was such a busy time because I was working 8 hours a day in the restaurant, but I was practicing every day, and I was designing posters or designing an album cover or whatever. And yeah, I look back on that time as like fondly, even though it was like I was dirt poor and I didn't know how I was gonna buy food and whatever, but I was perfectly happy. Like, and in some ways, even though I have tons of money now, I'm still doing the same stuff. Like this afternoon, I was, you know, sketching out things to send to the guy that's doing the t-shirts for the next leg, and I'm still doing all the same stuff. I'm still tinkering with, you know, all the different aspects of being in a band, and it's kind of the best part of it.
Cool. The Amos Bros t-shirts.
Yeah.
You do graphics for them?
No, that's all my brother. When my brother first moved out to Seattle, he actually within a few months started working for us, kind of just being our in-house graphic designer, like designing shirts and posters and whatever. And we sort of had this idea that we were going to collaborate and we were going to do this thing. And within a couple of months, it became apparent that I didn't have the time to be a proper partner.
Just a second, sorry. The microphone stopped. It's back again.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
But within a couple months of my brother sort of having this Amesbro thing going, it became really clear to both of us that I wasn't going to be able to kind of hold up my end of the partnership. And a good friend of his, Colby, who he was friends with in college, moved out, and they've been partners ever since. And we still, they still make posters for us, and they still do T-shirts for us, and stink bugs are attacking me. Hey, you see those things? They're crazy.
They bite?
No, they're just like these, but they smell funny. They have a real perfumey smell.
And how did you get into art?
Ever since I was a little kid, like I was always drawing in the side of the margins in my notebook, and I think in grade school it sort of helped me socially with my friends. I would draw funny pictures of my friends, and I'd pass a piece of paper around the classroom, and everybody would laugh. And I think there's always been a part of me that's sort of craved like that sort of recognition from my friends, and so that was my way of being funny or getting a reaction out of my friends, was by drawing stupid pictures, and that turned into like drawing album covers for my fictitious band before I ever played an instrument. And I remember in 7th or 8th grade they said, we had to write a paper on what our dream job was. And my dream job was I wanted to design album covers. So my dream came true. I've gotten to design a handful of album covers, so
cool,
pretty amazing.
I like the way you said about making graphics about your friends. I never heard anyone saying that.
Wow.
And it was what I used to do.
Right.
I would just put this because of avoiding
the wind.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I did the same. And I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
You say that was cool. Thanks. Okay. What's the story behind that deck? I will grab it for you.
Oh.
And those pieces.
Yeah. Well, about a year and a half ago, I turned 50, and you're always trying to think of like, how can you celebrate like, 50 years on the planet? And I always feel like I'm not really into the Hallmark holidays. Like I'm not really that into Christmas or Valentine's Day. I mean, I always get a Valentine's for my wife, but on my 50th birthday, I was like, how can I somehow do something unique? And so I did two things. We had a little party with about 30 or 40 of my friends, and I actually recorded a song, and every line of the song sort of encapsulated every year of my life. So like, I couldn't remember anything about being one, but I made a little quick line. And as I was writing the song, I realized that in order to make the song, it had to be a really fast song, because I had to have 50 lines of verse in the song, and it had to go by fast if it was going to fit on a 7-inch single. So it took me a couple months to kind of figure out how to write it and record it and all that. And the other thing I did was I designed a skateboard with my 50 influential skaters of my life. And so it starts up here with my cousin Gary Keppers, who lived in California, in San Jose, and put me on his skateboard and gave me the Skateboarder magazine. And then it goes down the line, Chris Maneris, who has a big collection of skateboards. He lived just up the street. The Long brothers, my brother Barry, Malone, Turk, all the Haver guys, Charlie, who I skated with here in college. And then my first real skateboard heroes, I got T.A., Shogo, Waldo Autry, Scott Foss, Chris Stropel, Wally Inouye, Pineapple, Brad Bowman, Olson, Dwayne, Jay Smith, Ray Bones, Stacy Peralta. And then kind of the next wave, I got Neil Blender, Steve Schneer, Lance Mountain, Jim Murphy, Randy Caton, who lived here for a while, Sacramento guy. Jeff Grosso. Steve Turner and Mark Arm, who I was in Green River with, who were both skateboarders. Randy Brown, who was a Jax guy in Seattle, who took me around to skate ramps in the mid-'80s. Joel Gomez, who owns Sessions, who will be here tomorrow. I got Grindline and Dreamland. I got Grant Fukuda, who I've become good friends with. I got Buddy Nichols and Rick Charnowski, who have made all the great skate films over the years, who I've gotten to be good buddies with. And then all my Missoula bros. I got Pete, I got Adam, I got Kim Peterson, Brown, Simon Smith. Should be a whole bunch more on there, but I had to be 50. But it's like my 50 skate heroes, and I've skated with all of them except for I've never skated with TA. I've tried. God, I've tried. I think he's the only guy on here that I haven't skated with, which is kind of crazy. I had an amazing session with Jay in Shogo in Hawaii once. I just popped into the Cholo Bowl one day, and it was just Jay and Shogo skating by themselves. And I pulled in, introduced myself, and skated for like 3 or 4 hours with those guys, and it was like total dream session. Like nobody else showed up. Took one picture, have it in my house. I was kind of afraid to take a picture of those guys, you know. I got this great picture of Jay doing a frontside slasher, you know, like rad.
Nice, man. And there's 50?
Yeah, there's 50.
And you hand draw all the faces?
Yeah, I just did it really quick. I didn't want to get too precious about like trying to create too many characteristics or whatever. I was trying to just have it be kind of off the top of the. But I mean that's a miracle. Like as a 14-year-old kid from Big Sandy, and then I got to skate with all these people over the course of my life, and I still skate with them. You know, if I go to California, I get to skate with Grosso and Lance. Like that's like dream stuff.
I asked you about the story of this deck, but I never thought it would be so
It's a crazy story.
Thanks for sharing, man.
And I've actually made a couple of shapes since then, and I keep going back to this one because there's something magical about like skating with all your buddies. You know, it's like every time I skate, I can sort of get inspired and go like, okay, what would Bowman do? He'd step it up for sure. Like you gotta, you know.
Cool, man. That's so cool. Nice, man. I really like I got this. You did it. I really like you did it. I didn't got anything. I'm just here. Let me get better focus here. I changed the focus to the skateboard. And now I got it. Yeah, cool. Getting back to track. And let me know, okay, if I get more time.
Yeah.
If I'm. What is special about Montana for you?
Well, in the early 90s, when things got crazy for us in Seattle, probably about 1993, I came back here on a trip, and I brought my mountain bike with me, and I sort of had the idea that maybe I was going to find a little spot somewhere and build a little cabin, and then it turned into this thing that every time in between a tour leg, if I had a week, I would just come here. I wouldn't, because in Seattle it was just crazy. Like if you went out anywhere, it was like people knew who you were. I couldn't go to my grocery store anymore, and it was like, you know, everybody would be looking at you. And I've always been a little bit more of an introverted, like private person, so I was having a hard time with it. So coming out here, nobody knew who I was. There was still a couple buddies here. My buddy Eric and my buddy Tim, who actually runs our fan club now in Seattle. I would come out here and we'd go on these amazing hikes, and we'd play basketball down at the river, and we'd go up, hike to some lake and jump in the lake. And I would come back from these little breaks and go back on tour, and I would be like totally rejuvenated, and the rest of the guys in the band would be sort of fried. It was almost more work being home than it was being on the road. So within a few months, I was like, okay, I'm going to start actively looking for a spot here. And initially, I was looking for a spot up around Kalispell and Flathead Lake and Whitefish in that area, like up near Glacier Park, because I we went there a lot when I was a kid, and I thought that would be a great place to kind of get away from everything. But every single trip, I would start out up there, and I would end up down here because I had my buddies that were here. And within about a year, I found this spot, and you know, that was 20 years ago. It's crazy, you know, and it's been that spot to me. Like I can come here and sort of like get my bearings, and I have lots of little kind of domestic jobs that I have to do. I have to make sure that the trees are getting watered, and I have little errands that I have to take care of, and it sort of keeps my head on straight and keeps me grounded. And then in the process of that, I get into great little creative grooves out here. Like if I come out here for 2 or 3 weeks in the winter, man, I just get in the studio and just get in this mode, and I'll come out and skate a little bit, and I'll paint a skateboard, and I'll put together something, and then I'll go back in, I'll draw, or I'll have some paintings going, and I'll go back in the studio. And at the end of 2 weeks, like, it wasn't even like I was doing anything. I was just sort of in this zone of creating, and there's no schedule behind it. It's just, you're just doing what you do. You're just doing what, you know, whatever works up inside you. You walk outside and something inspires you, or you think about a friend, or you think about somebody in your family, and that inspires you to go back in and play your guitar or play the piano.
So, spider just jumped from the deck to New York.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Never spider.
Yeah,
never. Sorry to interrupt. Man.
No. It wasn't a black widow. There's lots of black widows out here, but
yeah.
No black. Yeah.
Cool.
Usually they're hidden underneath somewhere, but.
You spend more time here or in Seattle?
It's kind of half and half. I mean, when the band's doing a lot of stuff, we tend to be back in Seattle a lot more. And my wife has a job at a nonprofit it's a writing center called 826 in Seattle that she spends a lot of time at, and so. You know, when I'm off the road and stuff, I try to support her, and I'm back there. So, but I love being here, especially this time of the year. It's like the best.
Cool, man. And how often do you skate the ramps?
Oh, I mean, I come out every day and at least take a few runs. You know, I can't. Man, I hate putting it on being old, but I can't do it like I used to. You know. But every summer there's sort of a build up to. There's usually 1 or 2 big skate trips that we take. 2 years ago we had a big group out here. Stropel and Wally and Steve Olson and Dwayne and Grosso and Lance and all those guys came out here. It was kind of the 10th year anniversary of the Treasure Ball, and that's actually a stinging. That's actually a wasp.
Wasp?
Yeah.
Oh, that stings.
Yeah, but every year we sort of there's a week trip that a bunch of people come out, and people from all over the state kind of get on this thing. And this year there was about 30 of us that we kind of did a whole loop around the state. And skated 7 or 8 things, which it ended up in my old hometown in Big Sandy in a little bowl where every year they have a big barbecue, and there was probably 120 skaters up there this year, which is kind of pretty amazing. So you gear up for that 5 or 6 days in a row where you're skating every day, and at the end of it you're like, you know, barely walk. But.
What could you say about Dillon skate park?
The Dillon, Montana skate park is a prime example of an imperfect, totally revolutionary design by Mark Hubbard. And he and Red do these things every once in a while where they create these things that, and for him, he had in his head that he was going to create a Hot Wheels track. And it was going to be something that you could go into, under, and back around and up and over. And it's not perfect. I think if he took that design and they sort of did. They built a park in Myrtle Creek, Oregon, that has 3 of those pipes that you can roll over. But I think he could take that design, that figure 8 design, and I think they could do it probably more perfect. But I love that park. It's a great once a summer hit because, as I was saying earlier, it has the best Mexican food in all of Montana. There's a taco bus there that's kind of off the charts. Very, very good traditional Mexican food. Yeah, I mean, it's completely unique. You have to, and you kind of have to go game on for there. You can't skate that thing slow. You got to kind of skate it fast to get over the thing. And if you skate it tentatively, you're going to get sent to the wall somewhere, and it's really fun.
And what could you say about the skate parks to the way to Glacier, and then about Glacier? What do you have to say about that?
Probably the heart of Montana skate park world is Highway 93, which at the south end we have Missoula. We have the Missoula Park, and as you go north, you hit St. Ignatius, which was a total. That park was a total labor of love. Christy Nerby, who was the mother of a skateboarder, decided that there should be a skate park in St. Ignatius, and there's only a couple thousand people in that town. And she basically raised all the money in 2 different phases to build that park, and it's a really rad park. There's the cool little Clover that's sort of an intermediate bowl, and there's a big gnarly Kidney, and then there's a really unique street area that has a big rock and Jersey barrier and kind of all the, it's kind of more of a northwest style of a street area. And then as you go north, you go up to Polson, which has the helmet, the infamous helmet that Kevin Kowalski went. I still can't quite figure out how he did that. And then the top part of it is sort of like a mini version of the original Lincoln City skate park. You keep going north, there's another Dreamland Park in Kalispell. That's a pretty great little, mostly 6 foot and under skate park. And then Whitefish, which Red's wife has family in Whitefish, so they built a big gnarly park in Whitefish. And then if you go east from there, you hit what I think is the crown jewel of the whole state, and that's Glacier National Park. I mean, everybody sort of knows about Yellowstone, but Glacier, those early years that I was coming back here, I spent a lot of time up there, and I spent a lot of time actually on the western part of the park in a place called Pole Bridge, which is just outside of the park. But and we're building skate parks. We're building a skate park right now on the other side of that in Browning on the Blackfeet Reservation, and we're just trying to fill in some gaps around the state so it isn't so long in the car in between.
Cool, man. And what about geographically there? The mountains. What could you say about the geography?
Well, like Glacier Park, you can't really explain the scale of it, and you can't even show it to people in pictures. I mean, the pictures look beautiful, but when you're up on top of the Going to the Sun Highway and you're looking down like the Grand Canyon of mountains, like you're on top of Logan Pass and you're looking down at all that. And if you spend a couple days in the park, you are going to see a grizzly bear, you're going to see bighorn sheep, you're going to see mountain goats, you're going to see a badger. There's just so much deep wilderness wildlife that's super accessible. If you just make a little, you can go like a mile off the road on a trail and you're gonna see some rad stuff. And there's still glaciers there for now, not for very long. They're disappearing quickly. So if you want to see glaciers in Glacier National Park, hurry.
And what is the Montana Pool Service?
Montana Pool Service was sort of a little bit of a joke on Inouye's Pool Service, which was Tom Inouye was he rode for Sims and Castor back in the 70s. He had 5 or 6 skateboarder covers. I think he had more skateboarder covers than anybody back at that time. And he had a thing called Inouye's Pool Service. And every single pro skater in those days had a Town and Country sticker on their board, and they had an IPS sticker on their board. And it was because it wasn't really affiliated with a company, so if you wrote for GNS, you could put an IPS sticker on your board, and you weren't pissing off your, the guy who owned the company. But I was a big fan of Wally's when I was a kid, and when we built this bowl, I was like, man, I want to do a sticker that's the shape of the bowl. And I knew that the aerial view was going to look like the state of Montana. I was like, what am I going to put in the inside? And I thought, I'll put Montana Pool Service. And it was kind of being a little bit sarcastic, because there are no backyard pools in Montana. There's like maybe 4 in the entire state, and we're the 4th biggest state in the whole country, like area-wise. So I was sort of poking fun at it, and within 3 years, I met Wally, and I sort of sheepishly gave him a sticker, like, I hope you're not mad, but sort of ripped off your thing, and I was kind of making fun of it, but I'm not really making fun of it. It's actually an homage to Inouye's Pool Service, and then it's sort of as parks started being built in the state. Whenever I could, I would help out financially, and then now that's sort of turned into the park on the Blackfeet Reservation in Browning. That's actually like my park. Like I'm actually paying to have that park built, and there's a couple parks being built in the eastern part of the state. One in Glendive that's already built. Montana Pool Service put an amoeba in there because there's not an amoeba in the state. And then they're building like a 8 foot deep egg in Baker right now. That's in addition to a park that they're building over there. So now there's sort of this cool momentum going on where I've sort of like directed a lot of my philanthropic monies towards skate parks, and putting skate parks in small towns and in isolated places, and just to create a super unique. I think in a couple years we're going to have the state pretty covered, so you could spend 10 days out here and see the whole state and go from park to park and really witness a lot of different geography, and all these little towns have cool little bars and cool locals, and it's sort of, skateboarding did so much for me in terms of, I always feel like skateboarding sort of helped me, skateboarding gave me confidence. Like there was a point in my life where I got good enough where I actually got a couple trophies and little contests and stuff, and that gave me this confidence, and I think that confidence sort of helped me play music with other people, and it gave me confidence to want more than just to play in the basement, and it made me want to put records out and do more things. And so I sort of feel like the music now is sort of paying back like where it all sort of started, and it all kind of started with skateboarding, really, and so I sort of want to pay back by putting up concrete in little towns in Montana and bringing people from Brazil to Montana. That's success for me right there.
Yeah, man, that's great.
That's the best part of it, when a bunch of guys from California get on a plane and come up and skateboard up here, it's like, wow.
Who were awesome. the pros that had skate here?
Oh, God, tons. Like when the Indy had their 25th anniversary thing, they came up here and skated. I was on tour. I didn't get to see it. It's just kind of a bummer. The first few years that this was around, the Anti-Hero guys always stopped by. Vans guys have been up here. Trying to think. There was Steve Olson's been here a couple times. Like I said, Dwayne showed up like a few years ago, and Grasso, Artosari, Lance, Steve Bailey, Buddy Nichols, Rick Chernowski. I'm trying. Who's been up here? Peter Hewitt, Trujillo, all the anti-hero guys, Raven Terche, all those guys showed up 2 or 3 years ago. Absolutely ripped this place up. Al Partnan, Sam Hitz. Navert was here, but I wasn't here. Chet Childress has been here. Steve Schneer, rest in peace, skated here every summer for 7 or 8 years in a row. But
Sorry about your friend, man.
yeah.
And have you ever made any music for skateboarding? Thinking on skateboarding?
I keep thinking that I should, and actually Steve Turner, who I was in Green River with, we have an idea. We have a really great concept. I can't tell you the name of the band right now because we haven't trademarked the name yet. It's a really great name. And we sort of have all these made up song titles. So we just need to go in the studio for a week and just knock that out. But we need to find, I think it needs to be a 3-piece. We need to find a great skating drummer. Pineapple, maybe Mario Rubincala, who's the drummer in Off. He's a great skater. But we got to find somebody that we could get in a van with, and if we were going to play some shows, that we could actually all skate. So, but it's coming. It's coming. The skate themed record it has to come. Right. There's a lot to write about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can't personally skate without music.
Yeah.
I don't use headphones. I can, but I prefer when music going on.
Yeah.
And what music do you listen to skate?
It's mostly kind of the old standby stuff, and it's a lot of. It's funny, like in the late '70s, I had an 8-track player under the ramp. I had one of these little Panasonic 8-track players, and that was my music. But I only had 4 8-tracks. I had The Cars' Candio, I had Heaven Tonight by Cheap Trick, I had Road to Ruin by the Ramones. What was the other one? There was 4 8-tracks. But I still love listening to that music when I skate, and then all the punk rock stuff. You know, it's like Motorhead is great skate music. What else? There's actually, some of my friends don't like it, but I actually love skating to Mogwai, who's like a Scottish kind of instrumental band, but super heavy. Mastodon is great contemporary skate music. Metallica Ride the Lightning. I mean, that's a really great skate record. There's some Slayer that I can skate to. I'm kind of more into the punk rock than I am the metal. But Kim Peterson loves Judas Priest, so we play Judas Priest up here every once in a while.
Cool.
Buzzcocks.
Have you ever skated to Pearl Jam songs? Is there any that you like?
Nah. I think I could probably make a playlist. I think there's probably about 10 Pearl Jam songs that you could. Yeah, I don't know. I have a weird thing of, like, I can't skate to my own music. Maybe this band that I'm getting with Steve Turner it'll help me embrace.
You make thinking of that, right?
Skating to our own music, but
at top of my head, I could skate to Life Wasted, Do the Evolution, and Lookins.
Yeah.
To try to get indies. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could probably make a playlist of 10, 12 songs, that you could. But I'm too close to that stuff. It's like,
yeah, I can understand that.
It's sort of like kissing your sister or something, something weird.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because when you are skating to music, it really does. It gives you that 20% bump of energy that you need. Like you just. And I like skating when it's quiet, but it's more of a cruise type skating when you're skating to nature.
Cool, man. What could you say about Lance Mountain, man?
I think Lance has sort of become like.
Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, we're back. Okay.
I think Lance Mountain is sort of very slowly become the spokesman for all of skateboarding. I think he cares so much about the history, and he cares so much about doing things right, and making products good, and making good skate parks, and he just cares so much. He just cares so much. That's what I love about hanging out with him, because we ended up talking about, page 73 about the July 1978 Skateboarder magazine. Like, we know what's on each of the, I mean, he knows way more than me. Like, he has a crazy memory for that stuff. But he just cares so much. I was actually down in LA when they had the Skateboard Hall of Fame thing, and I was sort of curious about it because I've been to a couple Rock and Roll Hall of Fame things, and they're weird. Like, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame things are really, I don't even think I really care that much about it. But I was curious about the skateboard one, and there's some similarities with the politics and whatever. But Lance's speech at that thing sort of personified like the soul, the soul. I don't want to use that word. I don't use that word lightly. But he sort of, you could just tell he cared so much. And that skateboarding wasn't just like rolling around on a toy. Like, it's sort of like, it's the expression part of it, and it's the freedom, and it's this feeling that you get, and this connection that you have, and he's just such a great spokesperson for the whole, whatever, art, sport, whatever you want to call it. He's just such a great spokesman for skateboarding. I mean, he named off like 150 people who should be, and that was part of his speech. Like, these people should be in here too before me. Like, he cares so much, and he's right. He's right. He's right. There's probably people that have got in that, from a musician / skateboarder's standpoint, there's a lot of guys that, there's more to skateboarding than the Z-Boys. I mean, the Z-Boys were amazing. I have a bunch of their names on my board. But there's Kent Senator and Jerry Valdez and Brad Bowman and Chris Stropel and guys that created, the tail tap and the alley-oop and Jay Smith layback grind. I mean, there's things that Steve Olson's in there, so I don't need to say his name. But there's so many guys that sort of haven't gotten props, that are deserving. Mike Weed, rest in peace. I mean, that guy was, total pioneer.
That thing about the broadcast channel that broadcast California Fun, they about asking about new season. What you're gonna do next season? Oh no, we wanna talk about. We did an episode on Scotty Foss. That was great.
Yeah.
But they had never heard of him.
Right.
So when we talk, there's a Scotty Foss episode. Who? No, and then I said, hey, he were one of the original members of Bones Brigade. And okay. No, it's not like that. There's much more than that. And that's the bad part about the California Fun is for this third season, it's almost I had to beg for them to be able to talk about the stuff that is not Dogtown or they just want Dogtown or Bones Brigade stuff because that's and I have to know that's cool. And after they shows the episode, they say okay, that's cool, yeah. But before doing that, shit. So it sucks. And on the other hand, I feel happy that we were being able to put out things like that. Or there's even one episode on Aaron Scott. His friend with Sam Reed hits from. And Shed, he played Shed. And we did an episode about him. No one knew about him, but the episode's pretty cool. And then that's what we liked the most to show the other cool stuff that no one heard of. So
well, there's so much of it. There's so many. There's so many little pockets of skaters, and still, if you go to Oregon at any given time, and it's changed a little bit in the last couple of years with Kevin Kowalski and some of those guys kind of blowing up, and Bryce's company Lifeblood, like those guys came out here last summer, and holy shit, man, they just tore this place up.
It's from Bryce Knights?
Yeah. It's Bryce Knights. It's Kevin Kowalski and Mason Merlano and Josh Rodriguez and those guys. I mean, and they're skating in all the pro contests and doing well. But there's the energy it's cool. Like when and it's the same thing with music. Like Oregon, with Burnside and all that. That just sort of there was this little pocket of energy in there. These little kids that grew up across the street. Donovan Rice, who grew up across the street from McDonald and these guys that grew up with these skate parks in their towns, and now they're pros. Now they're skating and placing in contests, and build it, and they will come. Like good things will happen out of it.
Cool. Do you know any other musicians that are non-musicians that skateboard?
I think I probably know more skateboarders that are musicians, but Mario Rubencala, who's the drummer in Off, he was a pro skateboarder, so I guess that he's a skater first. God, I can't think of the guy's name. I can't even say it if I can't think of his name. I think his name's Brandon, the drummer from Band of Horses, is a great skater. Who else? I can't really think of anybody off the top.
Ben Harper.
Ben Harper's a ripping skater. I have yet to skate with Ben, and I've known Ben for 18 years or something. It's amazing how good of a street skater he is, man. It's crazy.
We gave him one of those is in your lap. One of those Shamas boards, just the deck. We gave him just that without art, just the deck for him to have it. And we had a horse with a small truck. It was with a roller skate truck, and he
kick flipped it.
Tree flipped. And we filmed that.
Well, when he was doing all that stuff, he'd send me like a little clip of it. I'll be, damn, man, like that's amazing. Like 40-something-year-old dude, like learning street moves. It's like pretty impressive.
Did you see the email that I sent you from Rodney?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, cool, right?
Yeah.
We've been trying to film with him, and no success. But it's been like he's been replying everything we've been talking. I think I traded more than 30 emails with him, so we became pals. Like, yeah, what's up, man? And he is so busy, man. It's him and Stacy. It's the only ones that Stacy was set this time too, but because of Jay, he got an excuse to not do it, but it's all good.
Yeah, Stacy's had a rough. Like he lost his son a year ago too. That was tough.
Yeah.
His son was amazing. God.
Jazz, right?
Yeah. Have you seen any footage of him playing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really sad.
I was surprised when I saw it. I just got to know him after, and there's like a few full concerts on YouTube. You can watch the full concerts and everything.
Insane. Where he's, absolutely ripping.
Yeah. What could you say about the girls on skateboards, man?
The first few years that we had this bowl, some of the biggest sessions we had up here were girl pro skateboarders, ripping women skateboarders. And I think some of it was because Kim Peterson lives in town, and she was friendly with Cara Beth, who toyed with the idea at one point of moving here because she loved it here. But there was 3 or 4 years in a row where Joni McDonald and Mimi Knoop and Heidi Fitzgerald. There were a couple times when there was 8 or 10 pro girls here, like kicking the men's ass, all over the concrete. So it's changed a lot. The whole new generation of girls that are coming up. They're growing up in skate parks, and so they're skating with the guys, and they're doing inverts, and they're doing head high airs, and so it just changed. It feels like in the last, it feels like it's sort of equaling out. Like the evolution for women skateboarding has really, men, it's been this steady climb, and for women, they were a little later in the thing, but the trajectory's completely different angle.
Have you seen Jules skating?
Yeah, ripper. I don't even know the names of any of those girls. Yeah. Amelia, Brooke, they're all like 15, 16, and
Lizzie Armanto.
They kill it.
We got skate with Jules, and actually in a house of a girl from Sula, and I got her on Instagram. Well, but she has a house with a backyard pool near Long Beach.
Huh.
Yeah, let me get here. Her name is on my Instagram. Real quick. And she mentioned about this guy here and coming here. And Rhinestone Cowgirl. I think has this brand. Yeah.
And she lives in.
She lives there in Long Beach.
Huh.
And has a great backyard pool.
Wow.
It's from Wood Shop. Wood Shop?
Huh.
Wood Skates Shop. Here, she might have a picture. Wood Skate Shop. I'll show you later.
Yeah.
You know, do great. Sorry, man, it's taking
no,
long, but
no worries. No worries.
You comfortable there?
Yeah.
We're
Let
almost
me
there.
just check and see if Brandon's
Okay.
should be rolling up any minute. Nice.
Nice. Getting back here. Carabeth. Oh, what could you say about Carabeth? You said right? She came
yeah.
here, right?
Yeah, she ripped this place, man. She spent a good chunk of one summer here, and so she skated here a lot. And we had a indoor bowl for 2 years before I built that. There was a wood bowl called the Bison Bowl. I mean, Carabeth is kind of the original, like, punk rock woman skateboarder. You know, like she. I mean, I remember seeing her name in magazines in the late '70s, early '80s. You know, like I think there. I don't know if she got a Who's Hot or something, but he sort of said that she was like Dwayne's protege and all that. And I think she was riding like a prototype Dwayne Peters board. I sort of have like a rough memory of that. But and I was at a few of those early Protect pool parties, like where she was skating, and it was like that was when they were like the jam sessions, and it got super heated. And I think there was one time where she and Julie sort of got into it, and it was like big, heavy. You know, it was kind of the old school with the new school, and it was awesome. And I remember some guys were kind of like, "Oh, that's lame," and I was like, "Oh, come on! If it was Dwayne, you'd be like, yeah, go Dwayne," and I was like, "Yeah, go, you know, Carabeth, like that's the spirit, you know, she's." You know, and then she was the best pro women snowboarder for years. You know, so she's like, I mean, she must be in the Skateboard Hall of Fame, right?
In Skateboarder Hall of Fame?
She should be. She should have been the first one.
Yeah, should be. But I don't think she's there yet. I don't think so. I think all the women on skateboard are still from the until 70s. Yeah, Laura Turnhill and this kind of Peggy, which we got to talk both right now. And have you known any Brazilian skaters?
I mean, I've been fans of. I've met Bob Burnquist. So, and actually, I blew it. I got invited out to right when he built his mega ramp. I got invited out there, and we just had a lot of stuff going on that day. We were sound checking, and I just couldn't get out of bed early enough, and I just totally regret it.
His dreamland as well, right?
Well, and have you been out there since they poured the concrete over the thing?
They haven't been after that.
Yeah, I really want to see that because the guys that built this poured the concrete for that, like the Grindline guys, like Hubbard and those guys. It looks amazing.
Nice. The day we interviewed Ben, I talked to Bob. I said, "Hey, tomorrow I'm going to interview Ben. Do you want me to tell something to him because I know you're a fan?" And oh, really? Oh, and he started to think, and then his wife came, or his ex-wife grabbed him and pulled him away. And so, tell him that I say hi. I say, okay. On the day we were there, waiting for going backstage on Hollywood Bowl to talk to Ben, and then Bob arrived. with
too funny.
his woman and with a cameraman. Got inside and they were like for 40 minutes and they her assistant his assistant
Yeah.
Christine came out. Sorry, we have like 1 hour, but Bob came and now you have like 20 minutes. I'm sorry. No, that's fine. It was good because we stayed more than that. We
Yeah.
talked a lot. It was all
Yeah.
good. But after that, Bob was he even pretend he didn't saw us. Like, I was like, what? Because he has a TV show on the same channel that.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, he got an extra story, you know. And they made
That's funny.
and after that they become really good friends. Like there's one whole episode a band come to his house and went
Yeah.
out around. So
Yeah.
it was for all good. It was
Yeah, yeah.
great to see that.
That's funny.
I love Bob. He's
Yeah.
an alien. You know, so
Yeah.
what-
Yeah.
But his wife was not cool. She was other energy.
I mean, it's been cool. Like, you know, when we've been down to Brazil, like I skated a bunch of the. What's the bowl that's up on the hill between Ipanema and Rio? The keyhole, crazy keyhole.
Rio Sul. Rio Sul.
There's two bowls.
Botafogo.
There's kind of a small one, and then there's a big giant keyhole that's painted really cool.
I think it's the Botafogo.
Right, right.
Yeah. I crashed. I fell from up there in my eyes. Fuck that.
But I had to grab my balls to roll in that thing the first time because it's like, yeah. And then once I figured it out, it was fun. And then there's a great in the middle of the traffic there. There's a great kidney there.
In Rio too.
Yeah, in Rio. Really fun. Steel coping though. Like between the traffic's just like pollution, really bad pollution right there.
Next time we go to São Paulo, let me know. Let's keep in touch. There are a few places to skate there. There are big skate parks.
I skated the big park in the park.
São Bernardo.
San Bernardo, yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big
That's
one.
really good, yeah.
Yeah, but it's crowded most of the time.
It took forever to get there too from where we were at the hotel. It wasn't.
That's the problem about São Paulo, right, man? Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
When you go there, you stay in near the concerts, or normally you have to.
Yeah, last time we stayed at this amazing hotel called the Fasano. You know,
Yeah, it's
the nicest
high
hotel, one of the
level.
nicest hotels I've ever stayed in.
oh cool. Yeah.
But I went to San Bernardo from there. And it must have taken 2 hours or 2.5 hours to get to San Bernardo.
Oh yeah.
It's brutal.
And without traffic, it would be 30 minutes the
Yeah,
most, you know.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what sucks about São Paulo. But there are a few places around, like Sandro Diaz's house with his ball. You know,
Cool.
Sandro Diaz.
Yeah,
If you go there, I would love to take you there. He'll open doors for me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's a very cool guy.
awesome.
And let me know, man. It would be great
Yeah.
to bring you some cool stuff, cool places.
Yeah.
And we're almost there. Man, if you could, what does skateboard means to you?
What does skateboarding mean to me? Skateboarding to me represents just like total freedom and total creativity. I feel like skateboarding's connected me to so many different things, and the energy of riding your skateboard is so much like the energy of playing music live, and you know, when you're with your 4 or 5 buddies and you're skating, it's really similar to playing music together, and how you get each other going and have your own language and your own humor, and it's such a great social. And I think music and skateboarding has kept me super young. Like I feel like I'm in my 20s, you know, some mornings I don't, but there's something, forever young. I'll be forever young as long as I'm riding this thing, you know. That's how I kind of feel. And so there's a focus on trying to be healthy enough to stay on my board for as long as I can. And I was really inspired. Like I remember seeing, when I started getting back into it, I remember seeing Tony Alva skate, and he was 40 years old, and I was like, oh my God, that guy's 40 and he's ripping. Like that's amazing, you know. And so I remember at the time, I think I was like 35 or something, and I remember thinking like, man, if I could skate till I was 40, if I could skate 4 or 5 more years, that'd be amazing. Now Tony's like, I don't know, what is he, 55, 56 or something? Still ripping. Still ripping up, still surfing. I'm going to skate with Tony someday. It's the only guy on this board that I haven't skated with. So it's, I think in the same way that I'm inspired by him, I think there's young guys that end up being inspired by me and some of my friends who are like 50, they're still skating and still get a lot of joy out of it. And to be honest, like when I'm on the road, like this year we did 4 or 5 legs, from last fall until the first part of the summer, and I was just looking forward to like July and like being out here and being with my friends and having Stropel and Wally and those guys come out and skate. Like that's sort of like it's sort of the little gift that I give myself. Like if I work really hard with the band, then I get to have this time out here with my friends skateboarding. So I'll do it for as long as my feet fit in these Vans.
Cool, man. If you could summarize skateboarding in one word, what word would it be?
If I could summarize, I would summarize it as beautiful. I think there's something about it's, and again, it's similar to playing music. It's the one time that I feel beautiful when I'm on my skateboard, even though I'm an ugly guy. There's something about, no, maybe that's not the right word.
Oh, shit. The battery.
That's all right.
Can I just
No,
change it? Sorry about that.
Let me think about it.
Okay. Man, you did a great interview, man. You for sure you did more interviews than I did behind the camera. $1 million question dollar. 1 million question answer. Question.
I got one word that sums up skateboarding.
Is
J-Boy one word? J-Boy sums up skateboarding to me.
And it's
not only watching him skate and looking at old photos of him and whatever, but I was at the Protect Pool Party maybe 3 years ago, and he sat in the corner, and I remember I was really watching like all the old pros sort of watch the event, and you could tell that certain guys were in certain guys' corners, and the other guys were pulling for other guys, and so it was a real competitive, it was like a club thing, so-and-so is only into the punk rock guys, and so-and-so is only into the tech guys and whatever. And I was watching Jay the entire time, and no matter who it was, it didn't matter if it was Ben Schroeder, it didn't matter if it was Pedro, it didn't matter if it was Andy McDonald, who's kind of a controversial skater or whatever. If those guys pulled a good move, Jay was like, yeah, just like going off, and I thought, well, that's the spirit of skateboarding right there. Like he gets it. Like it isn't about the club that you're in or that you're too cool for so-and-so because he doesn't have the right haircut or he doesn't wear the right shoes or so-and-so wears a Mountain Dew sticker on his helmet or like it's kind of not a club. It's like, and I think the people that make it into a club, I think those are the people that argue that it's not a sport, but they're sort of acting like it's a sport. And it's not. It's like, the kid that first kick turns and gets a grind anywhere in pool block. You're like, everybody's like, yeah, like that's the spirit of skateboarding right there. The spirit of skateboarding is like trying a little bit more than you tried last time, and like doing something maybe that you've never done before, even if you're super old. And Jay, I think he represents that, and he didn't think about what he was doing. He was on a wave, and the wave was changing, and just the way that he skated was always so inspirational. And I think about it every time that I skate. It's like, I need to skate more like that. I need to get out of my line. I skate my line every time, but I need to. So that's my word, J-Boy.
We were making as we were set to surf with him, we couldn't, and we had an interview with him. didn't skate, we're making an episode on him. For sure that will be like the grand finale, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And there's one friend of mine. Her name is Danielle.
Yeah.
And when I met with Ed backstage, and not backstage, after the concert in LA, first time I met him, second was in Brazil, was because I met her behind the set. And I was talking to Sarah about meeting you, and I was looking for you actually. And she was there waiting for Ed to come by and say hi, because he does often, right? But she's actually a great fan of yours. She has your side project albums,
cool.
and you got to meet her. She has picture with you, and but I know you got to meet a lot of people around all the time, and they all look the same. But and as she knew that I was coming to talk to you. She was very happy for me. You know, she didn't ask anything. Ask anything autograph. She didn't ask anything. She was just super happy that I was going to meet you. So I just would like to say hi to Daniel.
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, Danielle.
It's good to see
Good
you
to see you again.
Hopefully
we're in Brazil and we get to meet again
in
in the next year or two.
But
have a great winter,
and have
a good feeling that
some of
some of the next shows that we do will probably be in Brazil. So see you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
I would probably remember her then.
I can send you the picture she sent me just for you to know. Okay, that one. Okay. And what else? I had my cell phone somewhere. What kind? No, don't worry, man. We're ending.
Just want to make sure he's not lost.
Cool. What kind of after we did talk about the reservation for the Indians Park. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to tell what other kind of skateboards there are in Montana, like speed skating or downhill or street skating. Are there much of it?
Longboard, you see, I mean, because Missoula is a college town, you see lots of kids on longboards, and there's some of the hardcore skaters like those aren't skateboards or whatever. But I always feel like you can sort of get the feeling what skateboarding is by being on a longboard. If you're cruising down the road and turning, and turning is skateboard. I mean, to me, that's the essence of skateboarding, is getting that G while you're turning. I mean, that's where you're going for. I don't think there's much of a downhill. I mean, I think South America sort of has the market cornered for down. I mean, who's that Sergio Yuppie? That dude? I mean, come on, that's skateboarding. Are you kidding me? That's as much as skateboarding as mega ramp stuff is, or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what he's doing. I mean, it's like his own little dance too. Like it's like he's created a whole, and it must just be from doing it, because he's kind of been doing it forever. He's kind of one of the pioneers of that resurgence of that whole thing, right? Like, Missoula's got a cool little scene, man. There's sort of three generations of skaters. There's the guys that are my age. There's a handful of us, and then there's probably another 20 or 25 guys that sort of came up out of the Back to the Future, Bones Brigade generation. And then there's a younger group. There's a group of guys that call themselves the Goat Crew. And it's Ray and Noah and all those guys, and those guys rip. And they sort of have some of the tech tricks. They sort of have some of the street tricks, but they do it all in the big stuff. So, if I make a phone call, there can be 30, 40 people up here, kind of like that. So it's a cool little scene, and everybody's hungry to build their own stuff, and there's always rumors of I'm going to build a bowl in my yard. And there's a guy down the valley that just built a big mini ramp indoors, and there's a mini ramp in the back edge of the world. it's a healthy little scene for how small the town is, you know.
And there's
there's a group of
except
for maybe Great Falls, there's sort of a group of like 10 or 15 core guys in every little city that you don't even have to call it. Like you just show up at the skate park like 6 o'clock at night, like everybody's there.
Cool.
Especially this time of the year.
I want to ask you about the Mobash skate park and then we're good. Oh, and just 2 more. But now there's a light so cool. Can I just take a picture with you?
Yeah.
I realized that I wasn't becoming another person, and what made me go away from that was music.
Yeah.
And then filming and photograph, I would like that. And since my first video was all about music first and putting the footage over it, and was skateboarding related always. So when you say the music now is paying back for you to be able to do this,
Yeah.
and was like when I put it up was the most views I ever got in a
Awesome.
If you wanna see later, I'd like to share, because for me was the people start saying, hey, yeah, you might know how to do this. Yeah, it's good. Keep on. You know, the people when saw like that I could keep on.
Awesome.
And I've been doing.
Yeah.
Man,
It's even better because it's my music. That was my music. So.
Oh yeah, it's your music. Push me, pull me.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice. I know Pilot is, and I always related to Pilot because I love dogs. And check it out. I'll show you that. You like dogs?
Yeah.
That's why.
I
know there's a book.
Yeah, well, that was it was sort of based on a book, but it was sort of me thinking about, at the time I was single and I didn't have a dog, and I was like, I sort of envisioned myself like, you know, growing old and being alone, but having my dog, you know, like that was kind of the.
Check it out. This is Malibu. This is my dog. He is Miles.
Awesome.
More than me.
Wow. That is awesome.
And it's not only on that.
So he's like an Australian cattle dog, or?
Yeah, exactly. He's a blue heeler. He laughs all the time.
Wow.
It's very fun.
That's a great picture. Can you send that picture to me?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's great.
There are lots of them.
Did you see our dogs?
No, I
just
when I saw.
They're behind the fence, but they're.
It's fun.
That is hilarious. It doesn't look real. It's like hilarious.
One of the comments, it's like Photoshop. So
it almost does.
Yeah, it'll say it is Photoshop. I wasn't in the grass. I was in the concrete. Photoshop, but it is not.
Right.
It's just a stupid joke. And it's in Malibu. We rode this pool. It's Clover.
Yeah. I skated there.
Angelos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love that. If I would make one in my house, it would be that deep too, not to hurt much.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a beautiful spot too. I skated there right after I had knee surgery, so I skated, but it wasn't that much fun for me.
You got hurt skating your knee?
I think it was just worn out. I don't have any. They actually ended up taking all the meniscus out of this, so I don't have any cartilage in that side of my knee.
And
so.
it's good now?
I just have to I have to go to the gym and keep it strong, and if I keep it strong, it's okay. But
cool. What about how does skateboards influence the artwork for Pearl Jam, for posters of stuff? Because I've seen some posters of the Saints.
Oh yeah, on skateboards,
I really I want to get those posters, but I love like tree or something.
Yeah, there's three from California in the late '90s. I think it was like maybe L.A., San Bernardino, and Fresno or something.
And you came out with the idea?
Well, no, it was my brother who grew up my brother grew up skating with me, and we were Catholics growing up too. So I think it was just sort of like. I think whenever he's, dreaming up something that he thinks that I'll like, I think if it involves like some sort of, repressed Catholicism and skateboarding, and there's lots of surf influence stuff in our artwork too. But it's. it's tricky. I mean, for me, you know, and I think Ed really gets that part of it too. I think he really understands the connection between skateboarding and music, and is similar to his connection from surfing to music, and how it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. It sort of feeds each other. So, yeah, my brother's made a few skate ones. There was one from Melbourne that actually he sent me the sketch of it, and it's a picture of me doing like a frontside air, and there's stuff kind of coming out of my head, and it's pretty cool because it was basically all the things that I was into were like coming out of my body, and like, you know, little things from that go way back to our childhood. So that poster is sort of like a little bit of an inside conversation that my brother's having with me.
Cool, man. I have that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I have
a good
that
one.
poster. Yeah.
I might have what size shirt do you wear? I might have a shirt
Oh,
that
really?
has that on it.
A
Yeah.
medium.
Yeah. I'll dig around.
Cool. I just was aware that Ames Bros was making T-shirts because I was in Santa Cruz, and I was in a shop and I saw Jesus skates. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I saw, oh, this looks like the Pro Jam. And I looked, Ames Bros.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Give me two.
Right. Awesome.
So it's pretty cool, man. Okay. And I think we're done, but I don't want feel like,
Right.
you know, because it's so cool.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Thanks very much for time. Oh, on Pearl Jam, does any of the guys skates? Like Mike surfs too, right?
Yeah. Mike's was skating a little bit. Actually, Mike skates a lot still. We put a little ramp in our warehouse, and he was skating that a bunch when we would do rehearsals. Actually, everybody was kind of giving a go at it until Stone dropped in and like really hurt himself bad. He'd never dropped in before, but he's like, "Oh, how hard could this be?" And he like really like tweaked his back and his neck really bad. He had really bad whiplash. But Mike, I remember he called me about a year ago. And he goes, "Man," he goes, "I just love going down to like there's a couple places in Seattle like where you can there's like big boardwalks along the ocean, and you see longboarders and stuff down there." He goes, "I love going down there," but he goes, "The board that I have, like," I go, "Oh, you need bigger, softer wheels." So I actually set him up like a Wounded Knee board that's, you know, kind of almost this size, like almost longboard size. And I just put some big 85 Powells on it. And in the summer, he goes down there all the time, and he always sends a picture like he's on the beach. You know, he's got his wrist guards on. And
Cool. Eddie skates?
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's part of his daily activities, but he's got some skills for sure.
Did they ever come here?
Yeah, I think everybody. We had a show here about, what was that? That was about 9 years ago, and everybody came up for the barbecue, and so this was definitely here. But we were mostly, we had a show that night, so we were only here for a couple hours, but came out and skated a little bit.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And please, when you come to Brazil again, let me know. We can go to some cool spots,
Yeah.
skating around.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Nice. And I think I have to give a drop in.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Man.
And you too? With you?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. I probably it is. It's just, I'm not
That's awesome, man.
a good musician. I just love it too, you know. So keeps me like to make riffs for.
Actually sounds good, man.
Sounds good. Check it out.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I have my carry-on bag that has.
PC Johnson, nice.
Yeah.
Did you do an episode with him?
Yeah, and
That's
we
awesome.
played together. In his episode, he plays guitar and I play that. But I don't appear much in the episodes. I appear skating sometimes, you know. And then in his episode, I appear to play with him. But a lot of people don't even know that I'm directing that. Big wave.
Ozzy Blue Tile.
Yeah. Is this your song? Part.
Whoops. Yeah, that's my music.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah, yeah.
If I tell you that, I really don't want to sound cheesy or groupie or a crazy fan, anything like that. But when I was telling you that I stopped working where I was coming back, driving back home. And it was far away, like 2 hours drive, out of traffic. And I was playing that song very loud in my car. And I was paying attention for the lyrics and feeling the songs and the bass. And he was himself, when he had more time, that kept in my head, and I was corporate living, and every day was that song perfectly. And that's when I realized, every time I hear that song until today, I remember that feeling of, moving on
And that's what music should do too. It should put you in a spot.
The lyrics are too, or is Ed?
No, it's Ed. Great lyrics, really great lyrics.
But this song's amazing.
I had lyrics for that song. It was called Albatross. It was totally different. And I was sort of like, when Ed started going like, I think I got something before. When he started doing it, I was kind of bummed. I was like, really worked hard on those lyrics. And then when he came in the next day and he had them finished, and I read the lyrics, and I was like, oh my god.
What your lyrics talk about?
It was sort of about having something in your life that
It's okay if the computer likes it.
Yeah, it's sort of like having something in your life that you can't, something bad a characteristic that you have that you can't, that's holding you back, like something about your personality that doesn't let you get to the place that you want to get to.
It can be a lot of things, since your family or a bit near to your dad or just afraid of doing things. Yeah, it's
Let's see. That's exactly what Nah, not really. Especially now that I have all this crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, because it's like.
Oh yeah, no, those are awesome. That's what Ed got me for my 50th birthday.
You got it?
He got me one of
Oh,
those. They're
cool.
amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And I got. Can I just ask you to sign it?
Yeah, for sure.
It would be a great pleasure. You like how it sounds?
Saba, sounds great, man.
Yeah, sounds good for what it is, right? Yeah. I bring it all around and just do riffs.
Tommy Guerrero.
Tommy Guerrero.
Yeah. Bruce Logan.
Yeah.
Nice. No.
That's so cool guy, I know.
Brian Logan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chris Miller.
Wow. Double D. Crot? No, who's that?
And Russell.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like Lance.
Who's that?
It's Tessie.
Oh, nice.
No. It's TSOL singer Mike Christian.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Jack Grisham.
Jack Grisham.
Yeah,
And Stasik is this.
That's awesome.
This was Steve Olson, but it was in the army.
Oh! You probably wrote something too, like
Yeah.
LAMF or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to ask him again.
Trying to rub it off there.
Oh man, thank you very much.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that you take it with you.
Oh yeah, all around. And just move it around.
Hey, man.
And you too.
Yeah.
With you?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Thanks, man. One of the best interviews. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. It's awesome.
So,
Can't wait-
Montana
can't-
grind. And
Yeah.
California
Well,
fun.
hopefully it's enough that you come back. You know, that's the.
You'll be great, man.
I always feel like.
And as soon as you're trying to arrive, I skate. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
worry
Whatever. Brandon's great, man. His.
about it. Skates.
Yeah.
Cool.
His dad was an architect in Huntington Beach, and his dad was the architect for Big O Skate Park in Orange County, and a couple other skate parks too. Maybe Whittier, but he's yeah.
And he's dad's still alive?
Yep.
It's a goofy thing, but I have a lot of signatures.
Oh, that is rad.
Big. I travel with it because it just. I'm not
Awesome, man.
a good musician. I just love it too, you know. So keeps me like to make riff for.
Actually, sounds good, man.
Sounds good. Okay, you know what? Check it out.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I have my carry-on bag that has.
BC Johnson, nice.
Yeah.
Did you do an episode with him?
Yeah, and
That's
we
awesome.
play together. In his episode, he plays guitar and I play that. But I don't appear much in the episodes. I appear skating sometimes, you know. And then in his episode, I appear to play with him. But a lot of people don't even know that I'm directing that. Big wave.
New tile. Whoops. Yeah, that's my music.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah, yeah.
If I tell you that, you know, I really don't want to sound cheesy or groupie or a crazy fan, anything like that. But I was telling you that I stopped working where I was. Driving back home, I was far away, like 2 hours drive. And I was playing that song very loud in my car. And I was paying attention for lyrics and feeling the sound and the bass. And I always think, I want to have more time, more time in my head. I was corporate living and every day was that song. And that's when I realized, okay, now I hear this song, I enough, you know, moving on and
That's what music should do too. It should put you in a spot.
the lyrics are too, or it has lyrics.
It's great lyrics. Really great lyrics.
But this song's amazing.
I had lyrics for that song. It was called Albatross. It was totally different. And I was sort of
like when Ed started going like, I think I got some before. When he started doing it, I was kind of bummed. I was like, really worked hard on those lyrics. And then when he came in the next day and he had them finished, and I read the lyrics, I was like, oh my god.
What talk about?
It was sort of about having something in your life that
It's okay if the computer light's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's sort of like having something in your life that you can't, that something bad that a characteristic that you have that you can't, that's holding you back, like something about your personality that doesn't let you get to the place that you want to get to. It was.
It can be a lot of things since your family or want to be near to your dad or just afraid of doing new things. Yeah, needs any tuning.
That's exactly what she
You smoking?
Nah, not really. Especially now that I have all this crazy stuff going on.
It's like.
Oh yeah, those are awesome. That's what Ed got me for my 50th birthday.
You got it?
He got me one of those.
Oh,
They're
cool.
amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And I got. Can I just ask you to sign it?
Yeah,
man?
yeah, for sure.
It would be a great pleasure. You like how it sounds?
Salva, sounds great, man.
Yeah, sounds good for what it is, right? Yeah. I bring it all around and just do riffs.
Tommy Guerrero.
Tommy Guerrero.
Rad. Bruce Logan.
Yeah.
Nice. NoHo.
That's so cool guy, I know.
Brian Logan.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Chris Miller.
Wow. Double D. No, who's that?
And Grasso.
Yeah,
He's like that. And Lance.
BC. Who's that?
The Stasic.
Oh, nice.
No. It's TSOL singer Mike Grissom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Jack Grissom.
Jack Grissom.
Yeah.
And Stasic is this.
That's awesome.
This was Steve Olson, but it was in the arm and
Oh.
fuck.
He probably wrote something too, like
Yeah.
LAMF or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. And I have to ask him again.
I'm trying to throw it off there.
Cool, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that you take it with you.
Oh yeah, all around. And just around, goofy stuff. But I like this. Any kind of stuff that. This too. Keep going.
I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine not having it now. I get so much out of it. Like whenever you get a half an hour to yourself, you just like.
And you write a lot of music here?
Yeah. I mean, 80% of the stuff that's been played for jam songs. So
This last record I like, it's very different from what I would like. Because I like heavy and like mellow too, but I like Infallible a lot. Mind Your Manners for me was great song, and I like the energy, and I love Mind Your Manners, but Infallible was great too. Infallible and My Father's Sons, I really like that.
that's sort of where you know, it's a crapshoot, but I always feel like I want to come up with something that like we've never done. Infallible, Pendulum. Those are both songs like we've never done, and those are both my.
Pendulum is so great. I think in the Christian Hosoi episode or in Dennis Martinez, and one of them on the dark period used Pendulum.
Oh wow!
In the background,
Cool.
and it's almost entire. Yeah,
Wow.
it's great. I'd like you to see when you can, or if you can, any full episode. There's one episode on Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
The city.
I need to watch them because I think you sent me the first one and I watched that one, but I don't think I've seen any of the other ones.
They're 26, 30 minutes each.
Holy cow!
There's a lot.
Well, that'd be a perfect tour.
Stuff. Yeah, man.
They're all YouTubeable or?
They're on Vimeo.
Okay.
But it's not available for everyone. It's just with a password.
Okay.
No, the internet are 5 minutes clips or every episode, but I send you the link.
That's
and
awesome.
since Scotty Foz episode to Tony Alva, and the Santa Cruz episode starts for 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes is the music Santa Cruz from Pearl Jam, and with the mellow footage and surfing and people skating around and talking about.
When I told you about going to San Jose when I was a kid and going to Winchester and Campbell skate parks, when I went to Campbell. I thought I was skating with Scott Foss. And Ray Bones, but it was Cab. But it was before Cab had any pictures in the mag, but Foss had pictures in the magazine at that time, so I knew it was Foss. And he was ripping that bowl. He was a way better skater than Cab at that point.
Yeah, in the beginning, right?
Yeah. And then, so go back like 12 years ago, my friend Joel Gomez, who will be here tomorrow, who he owns Sessions. Do you remember that company at all? Sessions Skateboards? We went to the Vans Park in Milpitas, and Scott Foss and Cab were skating there, and I was like, and I went up to him and I said, I've never met you before, but I said, the last time I skated in this area, I was skating across the park from you guys at Camden.
Oh,
it was a trip.
And
there it is. There it is, Brandon.
Let me take the chair out of the way. How long is from Texas here driving?
1,800 miles. Like 2 days, 3 days.
I was tired coming from Glacier last night.
Oh yeah, no. But it wasn't like drive straight here. We just were sightseeing the whole way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Colorado and then we got here and we were like, holy smokes, it's so beautiful. I mean, we almost stopped at the river. Then we almost stopped at the skate park in town. I was like, I gotta just keep going. Because every turn it was like, holy shit, look at the river, you know. There's like, no, keep going. And then we stop in the visitor centers, you know, and then we stop. We just, everything we see, we want to stop and see.
Your first time here?
No, I've been in Montana, but just going through, always going through. Never stop. really just took it in. And when I was going through before, I was always in a different mindset. I was always going somewhere. So it's just like, you know, flying. Now it's like, wow, it's spectacular.
I can relate to that 100%. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, like if you grew up in Brazil, there's probably beautiful, like the rainforest or the beaches or the mountains or whatever, and you're like, now you see it totally different. Like, wow, it is insane. You know, where when you're young, you're just like, the rainforest? What? That's just a bunch of bugs. Like, who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
great.
I can't believe this is up here. Dude, I'm like, how do you get up the road if it's snowing? You just go.
It's I mean, like about end of January for about 2 months, it's brutal because that's all north face. So once the snow turns to ice on the road, it's just there until it warms up.
Yeah.
So it's,
And do you drive like, you have snow tires and you drive an SUV, 4-wheel drive or a truck or something? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we were thinking. We were like,
but there can be times when it's like I don't think we need to go into town
yeah.
because it's like
'Cause all the way
it'll take you like a
down.
half an hour of just like white knuckling down the thing. You hit the brakes and you just slide
Oh
into the
no. I'd be the worst. Her family's from Ohio, even though Ohio's flat, and I stayed there a winter one time, a whole winter.